Okay, another random short episode. I hope you can hear me. I'm walking. So basically, the way that God has been guiding me to things and researching things about how Arabia used to be before our prophet, Prophet Muhammad. After him, right? After Jesus, he was sent. But sadly, Europe doesn't recognize him because, yeah, some evil stuff happened after his death that would erase him from history, especially in Europe. And I do believe his first wife was European. I made an episode about that. I'll upload it soon, God willing. But there's many things that I'm starting to think of, okay? One, this seems bad, right? But I don't think it's bad. I think it's just one of those things God wants me to have the free will to think about until he actually tells me, right? Until the truth comes, which is like, a scripture, like whoever God will actually send again directly. I'm just being guided to things until that time. Okay. And that is, I'm starting to get scared sometimes. If Allah is actually his name, right? It's possible that's not his name. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where I'm giving myself the free will to think about. So from now on, I'm just going to say God Almighty so that everyone knows I'm talking about God. Since Islam is heavily corrupted, of course, Bible is heavily corrupted too, I know. But yeah. So anyways, it's the other things were, right, the hijab, right, the covering females wear. Not only has God put me in situations where he was making demons always take off my covering when I was in jail, they were just obsessed with it. And anyone would think, oh, they're harassing me, right? No, I think to some level God was trying to show me it's okay. He didn't tell women to cover their hair. And the example, everyone, that I came up with was I asked God, my Lord, what do you think of head covering? I asked the question. And he answered, and this woman appeared that had this little small rectangle-like shape, small like scarf, right, really tiny, and just wrapped around her hair that was like a ponytail. And instantly, this inspiration hit me. God was saying that that's probably what Eve looked like, is what the devil said to people, right? And he used that, right, as a demon to then make it seem as if it's some religious stuff. Why? Because we have to go back to human history, right? Everything that we don't understand or we think is weird or strange, morality is kind of obvious, right? Something is actually evil. Okay, but things like covering your hair, it's not evil or good. It's just weird. It's just one of those things where does God prefer it or not is the question, rather than is evil or good. Okay. I mean, it's evil when you're covering the whole face, and when they look like a ghost, obviously, like Iran. Okay, I get it, right? But anyways, right? And that is okay. That inspiration hit me. One, before I asked God that question, was I started to look at bushes. This bush in front of me, this grass, everyone. And I said to God, my Lord, hair is just like this grass. It's just like a bush, right? It's basically an object, right? It's not the human themselves, right? It's not their body in that sense. It's just something on their skull, right? We would really say you are the skull all the way down to your feet, right? What we would call the body. Okay, but the hair is something that's like a bush, right? Just like your armpits, like that. It's just a bush. Okay, we wouldn't call that the person in that sense, right? Obviously, it's part of the person. That doesn't mean that you get to mistreat people's hair goodness. No, but you get the point, right? Okay. So I was then thinking to myself, my Lord, what is so private about that? Because Islam uses the word aura. Aura means like private. Private as in like private parts, everyone. Okay. So it's not hard to understand then why God would say women should cover their chest and their lower private part, because they have two private parts while the male has one, right? Just the lower part. Okay. So I always see that God is using logic. The devil's trying to, right, then make it seem sexist because one gender has two private parts and the other does. You get me? Like he told them to cover more. No, males don't have a chest. If God created males to have some other type of private part on any other part of their body, exactly, everyone, that would mean since he's just, he would tell him to also cover that other part of his body. Okay, but he wasn't created with that. Okay, so then that's why he can expose his chest and she can't. You see, it's not sexist. He's covering wherever he also has a private part, and she also has that too, which is the lower body part. Okay, everyone covers that. But the reason why she has to cover the chest is because you and I would agree that's not like your arm or your face. That's really creepy for that to be just exposed, right? Okay, we would agree. He created us with a conscience to just know right from wrong. You guys can't be like, he didn't tell us. He did. We don't feel comfortable if a woman right now walks around with her chest completely out, right? Okay, okay. So that's your conscience, okay? That's from God. It's telling you basically that conscience that, okay, that's private. Don't expose it. Okay, common sense. But areas like the stomach, okay, that's kind of confusion. I don't know. God, right, cares about their stomach being covered the same way a male probably doesn't have to. Those things are kind of confusing. But we at least have to agree for human decency, the way a woman dresses when she's just going about normal society right now, like the beach, um, from the, what do you call it, the chest, right, all the way down to where we would say a little bit up to the knee area. Okay, we would say that's really what human beings, male or female, should cover, right? You wouldn't say a male should come out with his stomach naked anyway, right? Like that's the idea. We don't think it's normal. Beach and all that stuff. Okay, humans are confusing us. Don't think about that. Okay, let's just think about generic. What's appropriate, right, in society? Okay, like that. So let's at least agree that that's what we would normally cover, but what we have to cover, right, keyword have to, okay, is for the female, those two private parts, and for the male, just the one private part down below. Okay, common sense. We agree on that, right? Okay. But I said to my Lord, my Lord, why they keep connecting sexuality to her hair when males have sexuality? If their reasoning is, oh, this male will find you attractive, which is creepy, what are you saying? I mean, there's brothers, there's siblings, there's children who are males to you, right? There are old people who, what the hell, that's not sexuality anymore. You're just a kid or you're too young. Like that. It's so disgusting to put the whole gender that's male into the sexuality box. But you guys get the point. Let's say they're talking about healthy, sorry, young males like this female. Okay, that's compatible with her. Okay, we get it. But he also then is in the same box. Do you guys agree? She also would find his hair sexual, and it would be bad for him too to expose it if we're talking about sexual here. So that's how you know it's a dumb argument, because the two genders, exactly, those not related to each other. And God did not create you to be attracted to someone too old and too young. So that's perversion. Okay, don't come there with me. And no other group is put in that box. Okay, that you cannot be attracted to your own gender, animals, pests, or anything outside of what I just told you. Someone within maximum not more than 5 years age difference than you, that you, if we were to look at you, your healthy physicality, so one is not too ugly, too old, that's really who you're compatible with. Of the opposite gender, not related to you in any way, shape, or form, blood or extended family like cousins, okay. Common sense. The other stuff is the perversion demons teach you using force, right? Like culture and my mom told me to do this, I have to do this. They just force you into rape, and they call it arranged marriage, and that filth is from demons. I don't even think I have to explain it to you guys. Because, right, they're teaching it to you. That the old creep is approaching you as a male or female. They're always pushing themselves onto you because it's not normal in nature, okay? So we're done with that. But what you just naturally find, okay, that's what your nature is. Okay, but people lie, obviously. So anyways, right? Other than this healthy sexuality God created, it's not rational. When we look at them, she would also find these males sexual then, and they should also cover their hair. So if they're going to be like, no, 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 that doesn't make sense. His hair is just hair. Okay, then her hair is just everyone? Finish the sentence for me. Her hair is also just hair, so goodbye. We're done with this nonsense about how her hair is aura or private or sort of sexual or it's not healthy or get out of our way. You know, no. Because he also has hair, and she's supposed to find this gender, this group, right, that's natural for her, attractive too. If you're not going to connect the hair to the attractiveness, you're going to just treat his hair like it's just normal to show it. And there's no sexuality connected to the hair. It's just, right, bush. I told you, everyone, it's just bush, right? Okay, it's the same for her. It's just a bush, but it's just longer. And some males have longer hair, so goodbye. Okay, so that's first how I came up with it. That the whole idea Islam is using aura doesn't fit this box. It's not aura. Okay, it's not private. So that's how you know they came up with it. They just want to restrict women. Okay, two, the idea, everyone. I said to God then, so that's how I spoke to God. First, I talked about what aura is. I told my Lord, this is what I'm saying, my Lord. So obviously it's not logical to conclude it as aura for her. And then two, if they just think simply because she's the opposite gender, it should simply be private or aura, then I said to my Lord, then the male should also be in the same box, my Lord, because you created these two genders, exactly those appropriate to find each other sexually appealing. It's not rational then that one gender finds this body of yours private, and you have the exact same body part, and they don't find it private. That's dumb. They don't find it sexual. That's a lie. Okay, so if I see males right now compatible with me, I'm not looking at their hair. I don't even notice it. Whatever, right? He's just a human like that. That's how a male sees a female. But this is the sexism, right? Push her down to some nasty thing that they want to take away her humanity for you to just look at her and just see a human. That's what they don't want, the humanity. Okay. Okay, everyone, right? Okay, so this is what I said to God. I said, my Lord, in order to see if something is actually private, we have to physically strip it out of the human body. So let's actually all visualize a human body part without being attached to an actual body. If God just created the body part, okay, you would agree with me. Okay, don't visualize graphic stuff. I'm just trying to give you an example. If the private parts for the female is 2, right? For the male is 1. If that was just created by God by themselves to just float around, that we would all still call it private. Do you agree? So it's not the human that made it private, right? Putting it on a body is just exactly, they themselves are just too gross to be exposed. It's not normal, okay? It's creepy, it's bad. So then, okay, private. You see how logical God is then? That's how you have to think about it. Don't just put it on a human body, because there's demons, there's witchcraft, there's curses that demons can put on a human. God has taught me demons can curse a gender, can curse a race. So that's why then Muslim women, even if they want to do things that is normal, they can't. There's all these thoughts telling them, oh, it's bad, it's shame, it's like that. People will stare at you and project it to you, even if they're non-Muslim. Demons possess non-Muslim males and females, and they project to me that maybe I'm not covered enough, everyone. So that's how I know this is not from God. Because exactly, it's coming from people who themselves are very exposed. Sometimes their chest is out as that female walking by me, but her demon is going to project to me, right? If I'm wearing, let's say, a skirt or a shirt, not shirt, goodness, or dress, that's a little bit past my knee, because God has made me not have clothes intentionally so he could show me what's really aura or private or normal in his mind. And he would just not allow me to find anything that was very long. You see? He would not allow me. You guys can't, no one can be like, but that was because you were poor. No, God made me poor. Demons follow me to teach me things, okay? So you can't disconnect it from God. Wherever I go, God would not give me a long dress. So I had to always wear ones a little bit past my knee, right? That was it, literally. Just basically next to like my knee area. You would agree, up to that part, it's really not a big deal. Humans always usually cover up to that part anyway, right up to the knee. And then beyond that, it's who cares? It's just a leg. But a little bit above that, we will all feel uncomfortable because, right, exactly, the private part is very close to it. So see, there's still a reason why we're so uncomfortable with the thigh. Anyone would say the thigh is just like below the knee also. What's the big deal, right? The big deal is the private part, right, is next to it, it's close to it. So it's like we are still using logic. God is still using logic to make us feel something is not okay to expose. You see? Okay. So, okay. So I've noticed it. I noticed that God is intentionally making me dress like that. Very simple. Even the podcast, the photo I have, that was a time that I lost all my clothes and everything, right? I got accused of crime, put in jail, accused of mental illness to cover up the fact that I was innocent. And I just suffered a lot. And when I came out, that's all I had, just that small little scarf. And exactly, God is the one who didn't give me any way to take another photo with a scarf that's longer than that size, so that then you could see, yeah, it's like it's him. He's really saying, this is enough for now. Because right now, I obviously didn't know back then, right, what his opinion is on this covering, right, in Islam. Right now, I still don't know. I'm still in the process of understanding it. But back then, right, God still is not going to push me, right? Because he knows I'm uncomfortable with it. He knows I've been told you have to do it like that. So he's very gentle when he teaches you. He tries to get you to see it yourself. He doesn't just tell you, because you might think, the demons might try to make you think that's not from God. Okay, so anyways, right, until God himself truly shows you in a big way, okay, then you're not going to think it's obviously, whether it's from God or demon. Come on, God is God, right? Demon is demon. There's a way to obviously see who's telling you something. That's creepy, right? Why would God be similar to a demon? I mean, at the beginning phase, when, right, you're just getting inspired like that. You don't know. You have to be careful. So that's what I always do. I don't make episodes about anything unless I'm truly sure, okay? But I just want to talk about this for now because it's very important. So, right? What was I talking about? So that's one thing I experienced. God always giving me small scars. And I noticed it. It's really him guiding me to the fact that he doesn't, exactly, he doesn't believe you have to cover yourself like that. That's so strange. There's nothing to cover except the chest I told you. She has a torso. Look at that annoying vehicle. She has a torso just like the male, right? If I have a torso and you have a torso, I don't see what the problem is. If I can see you with a shirt, why can't I also just wear a shirt? Okay, so it's the chest, right? Okay, but people already cover their chest when they wear a shirt, etc. Okay, so the hair should not be a problem. Yeah, anyway, then I thought about this, everyone. I thought about how, so yeah, right in that jail, they kept stripping my hijab off all the time. They kept constantly taking my headscarf off. I think that was God's way of saying it's not a big deal. You know, that it's not from his religion, you don't have to feel that way. But see, there's this sort of witchcraft and curse that's put on Muslims, everyone. I'm not trying to be funny with you. Demons are going to put that emotion into you that maybe this is bad or this is shame. So that's why. Now I know that's coming out of you guys. I can prove it to you that it's demonic and not from God. Because those types of demons who project that to me when they're possessing people, they project it to me using non-Muslims. If I take off my hijab right now, which is a small scarf, if I take it off, all these non-Muslim males, their demons are going to possess them. They're going to stare at me. Even though they see women who look like that and worse every day, right? They're going to stare at me and they're going to project to me, oh my God, what are you doing? This is sin. Oh no. Whoa, 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 right? Because I can understand if Muslims are projecting it to me. Projecting means you look at someone and sort of your thoughts are coming out of you, right? They can feel what you're sort of projecting or saying to them, like what you're judging them as. Okay, it's not rational. A non-Muslim who's basically always dressed like that, right? The hair is out. Some of them are extremely indecent in their clothing. They're males. You see that every day. Why are they judging me? You get me, everyone. Even when I try to sit down in a public place, I'm trying to sit on a bench or a couch or wherever I'm sitting in a big public place, they're always staring at my back. They're always watching me and they're always projecting to me that maybe they're basically projecting thoughts about my butt and stuff. I'm not trying to be funny. It could be anybody. Sometimes there's nobody there. There's nobody actually human that's physically there, but those evil thoughts are there, making me self-conscious about my body. What the hell? So, whoa, I'm noticing there's actually a curse on Muslims where they will not even be able to have their opinion. You just think this is not from God because we're being cursed by demons. Christians understand what a curse is. They're cursing us to just have such emotions and thoughts come over us. If we just try to just live, so that they're already trying to make you think it's some conscious from God or something. Okay, so I already know that's nonsense, everyone. Okay, when demons do that, right? They make thoughts and they send it to me about my butt as I try to sit down, like someone's staring at you. Sometimes no one's staring, okay? I turn around and that demon looks away. They get anxious like that. Why are you doing that? You see non-Muslim women every day. I'm covered. Why are you projecting thoughts about my back and my butt? It doesn't make any sense, right? Or sometimes my chest. No, I don't mean perverted people. Okay, no, everyone. It's just anybody who's just, I swear, it's irrational. Because I can see demons in people. That human may not know the demon is using them to say that to me. I can tell. So now I know that demons are doing it. I don't have to care. Okay, so okay, I don't have to care. And it doesn't even make sense because they're using non-Muslims to put those thoughts into my head. That's not rational. These people are not covered like me. Why would they care if I look like them, right? And exactly, I'm still covered, so it's not even rational. So I was saying, if I was to not be covered, then you know the thoughts would be even more extreme, everyone. Not for Muslims, because you can understand they believe in that nonsense because of corruption in religion. But why is it coming from non-Muslims? That's God's way of showing me that sort of feeling or thought, right? It's coming from demonic spirits, okay? And they're cursing us. It can come out of anybody, therefore. So a Muslim will not even feel comfortable, even when they're around non-Muslims and they take their hijab off as a woman, because exactly demons are projecting it to us. Oh, shame, sin. What are you doing? They're looking at your body. What are you talking about? These people are literally like that all the time. Why would they care what I look like? Right, everybody? Okay, so I can see demons. That's my way. That's my evidence, right, to help people understand. This is the last example I gave God because I was talking to him and I said, my Lord, you see that bush? That bush is it's just a bush. It's like an object, right? You created hair to be like that bush, right? It's like that grass. It's very thick like that one, and some are really soft like the smaller, thinner sort of bushes over there. Okay, my Lord, it's basically like that type of bush, right? But in the form of that hair, right? Hair strands, everyone. If you plug the hair out of a human brain, just simply shave it or plug it out. Okay, just visualize, right? Just visualize. No, don't shave it. Visualize a human being, their skull, right? And just basically, let's see that. Then you're seeing the hair by itself, as if it was plugged out, not blood and evil. Okay, just plugged out, like God didn't create it together. Okay, it's plugged out. Now just simply visualize the hair by itself, floating in the air. What do you see? Nothing, right? There's no sexuality connected to it. It doesn't tell you anything about sexuality. It doesn't make any emotions or thoughts come to your mind about attractiveness or nothing. It's just like that bush. It's useless. It's like an object, right? The hair by itself is an object, correct? The human is always a living person. Okay, but hair is like an object, okay? It's like an object put on you in that sense. Yes, but is the hair a living thing? No, right? Are you gonna then visualize an arm by itself and then call the arm an object? No, that's actually the body. Okay, the body is actually the person. I mean, the hair is not really like the body. Correct? Come on, everyone, don't go there. The hair is not like the body. It's just like a bush. So I visualize just the hair by itself. Exactly, in order to see if it elicits basically that sort of energy or emotion or thought of sexuality being connected to it. I don't see it. It's just a bush, but it's very long. Some could be right yellow, orange. Some could be light. Some could be black color. Who cares, right? It's like a green bush I saw. Some are very long. So that's what I did. I literally observed the nature around me, and I realized they're similar to how God created hair, but it's just simply plugged onto someone's skull. God just puts it on her skull. It just grows on its own. So in order to see if it's private to God, if it's a sin to God to expose it or not, exactly, just look at it by itself. There's nothing private about it, nothing special about it, nothing sinful about it, nothing sexual about it. Nothing. It's empty. It's nothing. You can't even connect it to a gender because both genders have it. It's so dumb. So therefore, the hair itself is not aura, it's not private, it's not a sin to expose it. It doesn't matter. Am I telling Muslim women to take their hijabs off? No, just wait a little bit, but just wear smaller scarves for now. Stop wearing this gigantic stuff. That's not normal. They brainwashed you into that. Okay, so anyways, right? That's how then God was guiding me, because I didn't come up with that nonsense. The place I was sitting, I didn't plan for a bush to be in front of me, everyone. I just saw the bush, okay? And I was just talking to God first about non-Muslim women in that building and non-Muslim men. And I was using them as an example because I know using Muslims as an example is bad, right? They're cursed, basically. So I have to look at people who are not in this religion and see how it makes me feel to see their hair. I don't feel anything, right? I don't see that evil or shame being put on them. So that shame is coming to us because we're being cursed. It's not God making us feel that way. Because in order for something to be from God, we all have to feel that way. We all have to feel that shame. We all have to feel like this is sinful or bad for all of us, right? So yeah, don't let anyone trick you into that. If something's bad, all of us are gonna feel it's wrong. That's how you know that we're okay. We have one God. You guys get me? Okay, so I need to hurry up. I'm getting distracted because I'm in a large road. So right, first I talk about them. Right, I don't want to look at my body, my hair, Muslim women and their hair. I don't want to think about us because I know we're cursed. I know that type of thought and feeling is gonna attack us, trying to scare the hell out of us. Okay, so I can't use us as an example. I have to use other people. When I look at them, and including Muslims will tell you themselves. They also see non-Muslims every day with their hair out. They'll tell you they don't feel anything, right? They don't feel anything, but only when they look at each other. Oh no, you know what I mean? Because it's not really us. It's a demon that cursed us basically. And Christians are cursed in other ways too. Maybe they can't even entertain the idea Jesus is not God. Some anxiety will overcome you. Oh no, you get me? But I'm telling you guys, if something is truly coming from God's guidance, He will allow you to actually see, right, using your mind, if it's good or bad. Shame and fear is not going to hit you. You get me? God just allows you to think about it. And you're going to see with your own mind, okay, that's bad, that's good, etc. But when you can't even think about something, boom, this shame hits you. Well, yeah, that's from a demon. We're not talking about you thinking about killing someone and you felt guilt. And no, obviously that's from God. I just mean, were you at least able to think about it? Were you at least able to simply think of what murder is? Yes, right? Something didn't prevent you from thinking. Okay, I don't mean the conclusion that then you feel guilt and shame. Or that conclusion is from God. Yes, it's evil. Well, I'm talking about, can you at least ask yourself, right, if it's bad or good, like that. You can't ask yourself when it's things like hijab and all these things that the devil put into son. Exactly. You can't even ask yourself. You can't even try to see if it's from God or not. Something is trying to scare you of even thinking, okay, that's a demon then. Because God obviously wants us to think. How are we going to know? Since He allows demons to corrupt religion and just overall in life, how are we going to know if something is good or bad, if something is from Him or not, if we can't think? So we have to think. Okay. So anyways, right? That's why then you see that too, right? The people who are always following the evil parts of culture or religion, they're always trying to do what? Shut you down, prevent you from thinking, prevent you from analyzing, prevent you from asking questions, prevent you from just having any mind quality. Shame, 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 and guilt, right? Shut up. You're creepy, you're weird, you're ashamed. Go cover yourself. It's always, so then you know, right? What they're telling you is bad that way. Other than the fact that you already instinctively just think it's evil, what they're telling you, yes. But the way they behave, the way they're so scared, right, is the way. Okay, but am I scared right now? that someone wants to go and become a homosexual. No, I can just show you it's filthy, it's self-rape, it's harm, you're killing yourself. I'm not gonna die. You get me? I'm not gonna die if you tell me you want to go that way. I can bring you back. Correct? Okay, so that's how a healthy person deals with evil. They can use morality, right, which is just logic, right? I can use the mind to show you something is filthy and evil, and something evil is trying to inspire you, that's possessing you. I can just talk to you, everyone. Okay, so that's how you know that's the conscious God created, right? Instantly, I'm thinking filth in my head, yes, but I'm not afraid to have a dialogue because, exactly, there's no reason to be scared because I can prove it to you it's wrong. But these human beings, they can't prove it. It's not from God. So all they do is, okay, shame, 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 and shut up. Okay, you know what dictators do also. Anyways, let me hurry up. So first I talked about non-Muslims. I tried to just visualize their hair. Just they're all sitting in that building, right? I'm just thinking, right? Look at their hair, my lord. What's so aura about that? What's so private about that? I don't feel anything. They're just human to me. Why can't I be seen the same way like that? Eve, right? I said to myself, my Lord, how did the devil come up with this head covering? Instantly, God made, I swear by God's name, this is not random. I've never seen a woman dressed like this before. This is the U.S. Women don't put some a small scarf on their hair. Come on, everyone. So God picked this day that I would ask questions, and He was already preparing for me to answer. Okay, so He already knew I was going to ask questions this day in that sense. He was prepared. It wasn't random. Because maybe then, right? You get the point, right? Okay, anyways. Instantly, this woman appeared. Right? And just the back part of her hair, right? No, I'm sorry, the sort of front part of her hair was covered with that rectangle small scarf that people sometimes put on their arm, right? Maybe sporting events, etc. And instantly the inspiration hit me, which is from God, okay? That's what I mean by inspiration. It's like wisdom. When I say inspiration, I mean wisdom, sorry. So basically, it's right, the inspiration or the wisdom was saying to me, that's probably what Eve did to her hair. See, Adam and Eve, right? We have to go back to our parents. That's probably what Eve did to her hair, and Satan was watching her when Eve was hunting and gardening or farming. Okay, that obviously means she hunted with him. Okay, there's no sex on here. But you get me, when they were hunting and farming. I don't know what to call it, farming or gardening, whatever, right? That's what you would do, right? Pull your hair back, everyone. Do you agree? And the devil is thinking to himself, well, the female usually has longer hair, right? That's sort of how maybe even to some degree they basically distinguish themselves from the male, right? Just a little longer hair than him. Okay. So the devil is observing. All he does, he observes you, and he just thinks of a way to flip something to the opposite of what it meant. So you agree with me, right? People who go farming, people who are gardening, they have to pull their hair back. But do they do that to the back part of their hair, the long part? No, right? It's the front. I know it doesn't make sense. The front doesn't fall down, right? It's just what they do. It's just what they do. And the ponytail can be doing that. It doesn't matter, being all the way back to their back or shoulder. It doesn't affect them, right? Okay. But they usually cover the front part of their hair, right? Also because maybe who knows, some pest or some weird stuff or lice or weird, who knows, right? Just stuff could be flowing or flying around, those types of pests that technically they're going to hit your face, your skull, and the first portion of your brain first, right? That first portion of the hair, right? Not the backside. So that's what I was literally shown, that's how Eve just dressed, simply because that's the nature of the human beings back then, how they used to survive, right? Hunting and farming, etc. in that sense. Um, and they're okay, they have to maybe do that for their hair. Because they're not in clean places like you and I in the cities, right? And the devil just flipped it. Get it? Because Adam doesn't have long hair, he didn't do that. He just flipped it and make it seem as if she did that to her hair, right? Put a little scarf on, as if it's some sort of religious obligation from God. So okay, then third inspiration was, then instantly my mind was pushed to see this bush in front of me. It was really thick, the sort of bushes that they even make into like a circle shape in front of your homes, right? When people are in their homes, like that. That's what was in front. It was so ironic because it was just right in front of this glass building I was in. And I looked at it and I said, wait a minute. When I see that human, right, and all of us, our hair, male or female, it's just like this bush. It doesn't have any gender to it. It doesn't have any femininity or masculinity to it. It doesn't have any sexuality to it. There's nothing. If you see the hair just by itself, exactly, people sell it in a store. It's just the object in that sense, right? If God was to put that on our skull, how did it somehow become then private? You get me? I'm trying to see the only way something is private, everyone, is if we actually look at the body part itself by itself. Okay, if it's then private, if it's gross to expose it, okay, then that's private. Just plug the hair out, right? Those wigs or something. There's nothing private about it. So there's nothing special or sexual about it, because private technically connects to sexuality, correct? Okay, so anyways, like that, everyone. That's how I assessed it. And then I said to my Lord, that's exactly what he did. He flipped it and he just turned it into some sort of sexual thing only for the female, which I just said, right? It's not even rational. Then it has to be sexual for the male too. But then if they're like, no, 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 that's not the reason to do it, then I'm trying to understand why they think, right? They can lie to us and say, they don't think that way, okay, they're liars. No, why they think they can lie and get away with it? Why do they think they can get away with it? They think they can get away with it because earlier human civilization, right? Women probably did do that to their hair. Okay, but it was because of the nature of the job, right? Just like you see those movies or just those photos or cartoons of Adam and Eve. Adam just has this sort of rectangle garment that he wraps around fully, right? It starts at the waist and then you roll it all the way back to, again, you come back to the waist again. Okay, it covers his hips all the way down to a little bit near his knee, right? Okay, like that. That's his private part, because I told you that's the lower one. Okay, females have it. She also has one like that. Okay, great. But then she has the chest, right? Okay, she would cover that. She had another there for a garment like that. That's how our ancestors probably look like, right? And think about it. You can't be like, that's not rational. It is rational, because God intentionally, if he believes you should be covered from head to toe, or he believes you should just be covered a little more, then okay, right, other than the chest and the lower body private parts, then he would have already, there you go, just like my situation, he would have given me the tools, he would have given me the resources, since he thinks it's so sinful. He never lets me find these sort of Islamic clothes or anything. I have to always literally take t-shirts and garments and whatever I found when I was homeless, and I would put them into a skirt, you know, that's shorter. Okay. God was teaching me a lot of things also. So anyways, it's like that. I was basically put to live like Adam and Eve to some degree, because exactly, I have to see how it started. That's how basic it was. It was just simply cover your private parts. The stomach is kind of awkward, so yeah, I'll cover that too, right? But we don't know if he cares, right? If he cares at some point, that's the one I'm not gonna make an opinion on. But that's it, you know. And we would say, right, the leg, goodness, the feet obviously is normal. Goodness, just feet. But that's what I'm saying. Okay, so I was thinking to myself, wait a minute. If you thought it was sinful, my Lord, wouldn't you have then created a way where there's no way out for these two people except to dress that way that religion keeps saying in Islam, right? Christianity doesn't say it now. And no one can say anything like, oh, Christianity is corrupted. Who cares what it says? What the hell are you guys talking about? Just a few hundred years ago or 1,000 years ago, they were basically telling females to dress up. These vehicles are too loud. They were also telling females, right, to dress up like those nuns, right? So every religion, right, that's fake will have that. And this religion of God, which is split between Christianity and Islam, because his two books are being split into two religions of their own, right? Even though it's from the same God, right? They will also have that quality, where at the beginning stages, earlier stages, it's gonna obviously tell women how to dress like a nun, okay, just like a ghost. It's a ghost rather than a, because nun is just a terminology, but we have to be specific. It's really like telling someone to just dress like a ghost. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, what's the shame? Like, why is there so much shame? They have the exact same body as a male. It's just the chest that's different. Okay, so she covers that, because we understand, as long as you have, right, what we would call an actual private part, well, that's what you cover, right? The male is not disagreeing with that, nor is he against that, nor did God ever disagree with that. He is told to cover his private, right? Okay, but he doesn't have a second or a third. So it's logical to tell her to do a second one, because she has a second. Then don't then make it sexist. Okay, it's just how he created their body. Let it go. That doesn't mean it's sexist, okay? So, but the areas that they both, we would say, are the same. If you tell one person to dress modestly and the other not. Okay, now it's sexist because exactly sexist means you're telling one person to do something that you're not telling the other person to do, but they both have the exact same scenario or situation. Okay, that's really like just being racist to someone, or telling one student they have to sit on and another one that they can just leave the classroom. You get me? Even though the students both finished the assignment, it's unjust. But if you told this student you sit on because you didn't even finish your homework and that one can go home, okay, that's not you being unjust or discriminatory, correct? You had a reason. And if this student also finished their homework, they'd go home. Okay, so we have to be rational like that. They both have hair. It's not rational to tell one gender their hair is sexual, right? It's so bad. It's so unhealthy. And oh, the other person has hair just like you, right? It can even go longer just like you. Oh, but we're gonna tell you to not cover. That's not fair. You get me? So that's when we have to give ourselves the right to question. Okay? We're never gonna disbelieve in God if we question. We're just gonna simply see where the lies are. Okay, but you still have to be careful, right? Some humans are using that same analysis of the fact that we should question to go too far in situations that don't even make sense. They're lying to us at some point. Okay, but when you know someone is not lying to you, it's just like me, right? I'm just assessing in a way that no matter what you believe, you would all listen to me and be like, I understand what you're saying. That's what moral assessment is. I'm not trying to push any idea. I'm not trying to say this or that. I'm just showing you it's not rational, therefore it's not moral. And we're using historical situations that could have easily let the devil manipulate how just people back then used to just maybe, who knows, even the males did that with their hair. You would agree. The example I made has nothing to do with gender, right? That pest or something could get into your hair as you're gardening or farming or hunting. Like that, the male could have done that too. But is the devil gonna put this on him? No, right? The goal is to limit her, right? Okay, so like that. But I'm just saying, could he have done that? He observed her and he's thinking, let me connect that to religion. Something she just did because that's just what people do, even in Asia. Just observe women in Asia farming, everyone. They do a lot of that farming. And they do that with their hair. It's very small, just a small scarf. It doesn't even go to the back of your hair. It's just up to the mid part of your hair. That's all it's covering. You know? That's it. And you can't be like, why would they do that? Because when you're bending and you're trying to garden or farm, whatever you're doing, right, as you bend down, where is it going to touch you? If some pest or some germ or some nasty or whatever, or plants or anything comes out of it that could enter your hair, right? Whether it's damaging or not, it's just dirty. Exactly. Can't speak today. The first portion of that brain, right, the skull, the top of your skull. So the first half of your hair, then, not way at the back, because that back is facing the other side of you, right? Your back, basically, your back side. Okay, it's not really gonna enter that area, and you're facing this bush, right? Like visualize you facing a bush. Just the first part of your face, right? Therefore, the first portion or half of your hair is what I'm sorry, it's what that bush is facing. Okay. Chaos around me. Humans, there's always someone standing outside. Everywhere I go, there's a human waiting outside. That's how they get you to see they're stalking me. They just wait for me everywhere. That human cannot be there everywhere you go. Right, everyone? So the backside of your skull, the backside of your hair, therefore, okay, is not gonna have that sort of direct, big contact with this bush, right, that you're facing. Okay, so that bush is like whatever they're farming, whatever they're having in contact with, like that. So you have to think about our ancestors, the horrible lives they lived. Okay, that's one scenario. Okay, but two, if God believed they had to be so covered, exactly, he would have provided them the way, because in his mind it is a sin. Okay, so he has to get you out of the sin. He has to give you a way. Otherwise, he can't say it's a sin if he doesn't give you a way out. Correct? Because then he's making you sin and then putting you in hell for it. That's not rational. You have to give people a way out and then put them in trouble for it if they don't obey, right? Okay. So that's what I'm thinking, right? Why we always have that image of them where they don't have clothes, everyone. They just brought to this earth, right? God told them to come down to this earth. They have nothing. Okay, so they had to learn how to make clothing. Does that mean they were naked? No. I'm just saying, right? From the they are, let's assume they're covered, right? With shoulder to knee, for example, rather than some other way, right? From shoulder to knee. But then what do they have? Okay, this demon is getting on my nerves. They're just staring at me. That's not a person, okay? I'm awake. I can see the demon in the person. So humans don't understand that's a demon, but I can. And I can prove it, because I can command them and stuff. So anyways, I have to tell you, everyone, because then they bother me. If I talk about it, they hate it when I expose them, even though you can't see them. So, right, if, right, they're being made to come down and learn. Yes, they're covered already, but they're covered in the essential areas. If they're being told to come here and learn everything on their own, right, from scratch, how to make clothing, what type of, right, objects that God taught them to create clothing from, fabric from, wool, etc., like that. That's not rational. You cannot say she came down like the Islamic woman today, how they look. That's dumb. What the hell are you talking about? But see, they don't want to act like we're those people. These Muslims, their religion is corrupted, but they don't want to admit that we are just like Adam and Eve. If you're saying this is the same religion from the God that, right, brought down Adam and Eve to this earth, then you have to connect everything back to those people too. You can't just act like Prophet Muhammad just created his own religion here and just taught women to dress like this. And you can't do that. We have to still go back to our parents, Adam and Eve, and we have to see exactly the historical stuff we have of them. It's not random. Some human didn't just draw them like that. It really is how they probably look like, okay? Just a little more covered maybe, right? Maybe the stomach, but okay, so that they have the same God. That same God, Adam was the first prophet, everyone. He was the first one that has to teach children, right? You and I, whoever comes after them, right? What God's laws are. Okay, Eve also has to be a prophet. I told you, you cannot. I made it another episode. There's no way God can just make males prophets. That's not rational. Because it's just knowledge. It's just God's commandments. What does that have to do with a gender? Okay, two, right? Just like I'm teaching you. Do you think I need to be male to know this stuff? Just as God can teach me, he can teach some woman someday, and she can be another prophet. Okay, but they have to take that off of history. Because they started as demons. They started the sexism from Eve. You get me? They already went back to her and accused her of stuff, accused her of sinning, and that is the reason that Adam sinned, as if it's her fault, the fact that he sinned equally with her. And they obviously tell this nonsense that God had created pregnancy as a way to punish women. All this evil is already being attributed to Eve first. And then they're acting like the women after them had to suffer because of her. Like that. It's already this victim nonsense, right? Putting someone else, their sin, to other people and accusing someone, something normal God created for them, as a test in this life. Just like God told them to come down and learn to survive, which is very scary, right? Animals are here, there's no food, they have to learn everything. Are you gonna then say God is evil to them in that sense? No, right? It's just a test. You agree. It's a burden, it's a trial. But is it something God did from a place of him being a bad God in that? No, right? You wouldn't think he has to be bad. Okay. So pregnancy is the same. It's just a trial, but just for her. Just for her. Doesn't mean then he has to be sexist. No, because when a human being has to be born, I told you guys already, if males had to give birth, the devil would have come up with the same nonsense. He would have called God sexist either way. If a human being has to come down, everyone, how does our body come to this earth? Exactly, we have one body, correct? You can't split us up. You can't have half come out of this and half come out of that. Okay, so if one whole body has to come intact together, it has to sooner or later come from Adam or Eve. It has to come from one person. Just because God chose the woman doesn't mean then there's sexism here. I told you already, if he chose Adam, then everyone would have said, right, the other way around. So we're never going to be free from this nonsense. Forget it. But, right, it's just a burden for her. And I can't think of anything right now, but I'm sure there's ways that males go through their own suffering like that. We just have to be fair to ourselves, not let demons just use these external things we all go through and see in people. We can't use that to connect it to something else. No, you have to use your mind like I'm doing. So, right, sexism really means you have to do something and the other person doesn't have to. Does a woman have to have kids? No, it's her choice. So it's just one of those things where it's a burden for you, but how you go about it is your choice. Okay, but demons go around raping males and females. They're the ones, right, destroying people's bodies. That's why we have to, right, take the rapist as the highest criminal, right? The pervert is the highest criminal, the one that's predatory, right? You're not going to go kill homosexuals. That's different. They're doing it to themselves. But when you're going around harming others, okay, you guys get what I'm saying. They're destroying everything about us as a species. They're destroying everything about us, not just that human. So we have to go after them first, not some murder. The murder is next. Okay, but to finish it, right? It wasn't supposed to be 45 minutes long. To finish it, right? This episode, that's what I'm thinking. If God considers it such a big deal, he wouldn't put you in a situation where you don't have the resource to it. You know? Because Adam and Eve were already taught what's sinful and what's not sinful to eat. Okay, so see, he does prove it that he teaches you as long as he considers it a big deal. They already know what to eat and what to not eat when they come on earth. They already know the names of everything. They already know that's a plant and that's a, what else? What could they possibly see? That's a sand and that's a mountain, right? Whatever they could see, that's a cave, etc. They know this is not an object but a living being called a dog, like that. They know how to identify their names. That's how they taught us. Okay, so God does teach you whatever is essential in order for you to not sin against him. Come on. But for you to come here and have to figure out how to create clothing and where to put it on, okay, come on. They just had the essential. They just weren't naked in their private parts. But it doesn't matter what fabric they had. No one has time for something very long to put your hair over. It's so dumb. That's something in this sort of modernish time, a little bit before it, in Prophet Muhammad's time, they could just make women do, right? Because they actually had all the fabric like that, everyone. It's dumb. So then don't let Muslims be like, well, just because there were times in history women didn't cover doesn't mean that means God doesn't call it, right? This sort of opinion, right? That just because something happened, they want to make it seem as if that's what we're saying. Obviously, there's homosexuality. Obviously, there's murder. Obviously, there's theft. Obviously, that doesn't mean you see what they're doing. They want to make it seem as if you're saying something like that, as if you're saying just because something happened in history, then that means God was okay with it. That's disgusting. What the hell? So don't let them accuse what I'm teaching you, right? If you adopt my mentality, don't let them accuse you of having the same mentality. We're not saying just because they didn't have the resource that I just right. No. What we're saying is, if something is sinful, God is going to give you a way to prevent the sin. It's impossible. Okay, so he cannot require that, because there's no such thing as a woman coming dressed the way Muslim women dressed in Eve's time. You and I know we're not going to fight on that. We know they're lying if they tell us they were covered like that back then. Okay, but what I'm saying is that the first reason? No. So that's why I'm telling you not to be intimidated. That's not our first reason. We're just using history as a weapon too. The first reason, as I told you, it's not private. There's nothing aura about it. There's nothing sexual about it. There's nothing, right, like that. It's just like the bush I see and the trees I see. God have mercy. You get me, everyone. I was just using history to help ourselves as to then why it started to get accused of being a requirement for the female. Because exactly when people go farming, they do that with their hair. But usually women do it, see? Usually women do it because then those women are non-Muslim, okay? You see? So they're doing it because their hair is longer. So it's just one of those things where if you don't see the context, right, the how easily it can be misinterpreted, you're not going to understand. Muslims already know things get misinterpreted because of bad context. So this is what I'm thinking. And I don't believe God requires women to cover their hair. It's just, that's not something right now I'm telling someone what to do. Maybe that woman, God guided her to take it off, fine, right? But I'm not putting myself in that situation necessarily. Not from a place of fear or anything like that. But because I just like to respect my Lord, I just like to wait, you know? And the truth is almost coming. I always tell you guys the truth is coming. But I believe that's next year, everyone. I think something big is going to happen next year. Such as, right, the next prophet has to be here around next year. The scripture has to come back. And I don't believe God is going to necessarily bring us new scriptures, you know? I think just like Jesus brought back the Torah, well, exactly. When he comes back again, he's just going to bring back the Torah again. And you would agree, right? If someone else came with the Torah, then people could still be like, we don't believe it's a fake book, right? Exactly. He's going to come back. How are they going to deny it? Okay. And then, what else? Not that matters, right? Obviously, other prophets sometimes were given a prior book, right? Moses had the Torah. Okay, then Jesus had the Torah. Does that mean that God is dumb? he's setting people up to not believe because, right, it's not Moses again. No, 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 right? I'm just saying it makes it better. Since they worship him, it's different. They actually worship Jesus, you know? So it's just one of those things that makes it better. Is it required for humans to believe? No, goodness. As long as something is from God, you're going to see it with your own eyes. Unless you're intentionally trying to not believe, you're trying to lie. Okay, unless you're trying to lie, I don't see why you can't believe if it's from God. Because exactly, it's not like you and I, what we can write today. It's a beautiful book. Okay, so two, exactly. Someone obviously, right? A prophet is going to come before Jesus. Well, obviously, it's their job to fix it. So I don't want you guys to think that Jesus is your next leader. No, Mahdi is your next leader. That means they're going to rule the whole world also. That's a lot. That, wow, you know? So they have a lot of skills to do that. And God will give them, I told you, they need supernatural abilities because they're not fighting with humans. They're going against demons, everyone, and they're invisible. And they torment me every day like this invisibly and get away with it. They're the ones possessing people, making it difficult for us to dialogue with them because they're possessing them and they're arguing with us nonstop, no matter how much logic we use, because it's not a human, you know. Because even if they're evil, we can still shut them down, correct? It seems endless because exactly their soul is dead. It's just a deep. Give up, right? Let people go. Understand it's not because you didn't do enough, right? It's because there's invisible dark entities that are using their body and they love to steal our energy. So you might be like, well, why do they want to argue with us so much, right? Because energy, they're energy stealers or vampires, as people call them. A vampire is weird. Let's not use that word. That's not normal. Okay, everyone. So, okay, so if Mahdi comes, right, they're going to obviously bring the Qur'an back. So that's why Muslims have to be the first one they probably dialogue with. Again, but you get of a new scripture that these two books will return, the original Torah, which is the Bible today, and the original Quran. Okay, isn't that nice? Isn't it nice to bring back both? So that's one assessment. Does God have to do that? No. It's just good to assess these things. But for other things, we're really using logic and morality to show that there's no way a God can tell a woman to cover her hair, right? It's not rational. There's just nothing special or unique or bad or evil or strange or private or anything about it that you would have to do it, and he doesn't, right? If he thinks it's so bad, then he would tell the males to do it. So I was trying to show you then how he guided me to that, because see, I don't just make things up. I don't just say things like, why should women cover? I don't talk like that. Okay, I'm someone that likes to just get the wisdom from God himself. So that's my advice to you also. Always seek God's guidance, not yourself. So I asked God, okay, I really asked him a question. And those three events happened. He made me observe the non-Muslims. Then he brought this female with that rectangle small scarf on her forehead, right? And I was like, wow, she looks like Eve, right? The way she could have dressed if she was farming or hunting or whatever. And the devil easily could have interpreted that as a religious obligation. And then three, the bush. I just observed it. And I was like, if you plug the hair off, there's nothing private or sexual or bad about it. There's nothing religious about it. It's just like that bush, right? It's just like a tree. Just visualize the hair strands by themselves. Is there anything exactly bodily about? Is it even like your hand? It's not even like your hand, right? There's nothing. It's literally an object in that moment, right, by itself. It's just multiple thousands of hair strands, everyone, right? And if you mix it together, okay, it becomes like this bush. In that bush, people call it a hair. Okay, like that. It's so dumb. She has it, he has it. What's the big deal? Okay, but people are not gonna be like, oh, okay, then it's not private for them to expose their hair on their private parts. See, the way you can stop them from using that analysis, everyone. Hold on, there's an airline. The way you can stop yourself, right, when they try to twist logic this way, a fake morality, right, is you just think about it. The private parts we just assessed, if we were just to see them by themselves and they're not put on a human body, even an animal, right, just private parts by themselves, we would all agree it's private, correct? We would all agree it's gross to expose it. Okay, so it doesn't matter then if hair grows on it or if a hair does not grow on it. What is the reason it was private? Exactly, the bodily part itself is private. Okay, so the hair, right, the hair is not the reason why it's private, goodness, or sinful to expose it. Okay, so there you go. And it has two functions, obviously. It's not just sexual. Don't think like that's animal. That's the perversion demons taught you. It has two functions. The first function, obviously, is the fact that It obviously deals with going to the bathroom, things like that. That sort of functional thing that God created for the human body. Okay, to move and live in that sense. He just created that. And see, that's also a trial, right? Even though it's not for one gender, right? That's also a trial in the sense that why do you have to do that? Why do you have to go to bathrooms and stuff? God created that as a trial. Okay, a demon just harassed me. So I had to speak really fast. So, right? And then the other reason, okay, is the sexual. Okay, but let's say it didn't have those functions, everyone. Exactly. It doesn't have any function, okay? If you just observe them, do they look private to you? Do they look like something you should, um, if they were just by themselves, right? Are they a body part you should expose or hide? Hide, right? You would all agree with me it's bad to expose it. Okay, so that's how we assess if something is sinful. You know, if it's bad to expose it or not in your body. Okay, and then when you do that, now when they say things like, okay, well, there's hair on the private parts, um, you just assessed hair is not private by itself. So no, right? Because exactly this time the hair is not by itself. It's already on a private part, which we already assessed. Okay, it's sinful to expose, bad to expose because it's private, right? Okay, so they can't expose their hair, even if they're not showing you their private parts. A human cannot expose just the hair part, just the tip. No, that's disgusting. You're still exposing your private part. I don't care if there's a hair on it or you get me. Okay, so that's how you protect yourself from perverts trying to twist nonsense. Okay, but two, the other hair, the armpit one. Okay, well, it's just the arm. You know, the hair is still the same thing as the hair on the skull. There's nothing private about your armpit. Okay, but for a female, we're not gonna then tell her, right, that that's why then males don't feel uncomfortable, but she probably does. You know why she does? Exactly. It's not because she's a female and there's some sexist god out there. It's because and you just put that feeling on her. No, it's because where is the armpit and the arm close to for the female body? Even the male body, even they have that sort of breast like um, shape, right? As males, it's just it doesn't grow into a breast. Okay, they have a chest like shape also, but you get what I'm saying, right? For the female, because the chest is very close to the armpit area, that's why you feel sensitive. That's why you exactly. It's just God's way of showing you, right? That's private, your chest. It's not the hair. It's just they're so close. You know what I mean? They're so close. Okay, so exactly. If you were to cover your chest very appropriately, right? Like that sort of what is it called? Um, I forgot what it was called in anatomy. But right, just that sort of um, V-shaped bony part of her body, right? Down next to her neck. Okay, from that part, just go down a little bit. Okay, that's usually where females cover, right? From that, they don't just cover the chest itself, right? No, they go a little bit above it. Do you agree? A little bit above it, all the way down to like their knee. Okay, that's what we would say is appropriate, right? We wouldn't advise her to show her stomach. We don't like it when males show their stomach either. So you see, it's not sexism. But that's the part I told you, everyone, that I don't have an opinion. You see, I don't understand this one. So that's really one bigger wisdom is required. But for the basics, in order for us human beings to at least agree on the basics, because it's survival, right? People are gonna take your human rights away if you don't know your basics of what your rights are. He always gives us the easiest way to see that part. We all know exactly that hair is not part of that privacy, and the two private parts for a female and the private part for a male is what we would say has to be covered like that. We all understand the basics. Okay, so God did that. The rest is just up to human decency to all just use our mind and be like, well, the stomach is kind of awkward. Right? Again, if someone shows it, we don't care, right? It's not like they're evil or anything. No, it's one of those situations where exactly does he prefer, sorry, that you hide that or not? We don't know, you know. So you don't fight with people on that is what I'm saying. Just the basics is required because that's actually private. That's actually a private part. They shouldn't show it. Okay, but hair, you all saw it, right? The hair itself is not private. There's nothing sexual or bad about it in the other way, right? It goes to the bathroom or anything. There's just nothing private or unique or dangerous about exposing it. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's the one on your armpit that people saw. Okay, that's not a private area. Then your armpit and your arm is not a private area. It's just the arm. Okay, the hair is nothing. Okay, but I was trying to then explain why maybe a female doesn't feel comfortable. Well, a male does because exactly Your chest is very close to your armpit. You see, I'm just trying to help you understand what the feeling is. The feeling is not about the hair or the armpit, right? The feeling is God trying to help you remember to protect the chest. That's it. So you see, we have to analyze what the feeling is making us think about, so you don't actually think, as long as the feeling is there, that exactly it's talking to you about something else. It's not talking to you about the hair in the armpit or the arm. It doesn't matter. It's just the arm. That anxiety, that feeling of oh no, is about your chest as a female. Okay, so I have to help you see that, because it's very easy for demons to then make that feeling, right, seem like it's somewhere else that is trying to signal you to focus on. No, it's not trying to make you focus on your armpit hair. It's trying to make you focus on the chest that's close to it. So you see, it's not hard to understand, right? So yeah, we're just human beings. This sort of nasty perversion, they project and teach you, right? Do this, do that, dress like this, dress like that. Okay, that's demonic. It could come to anybody because it's witchcraft. They say nasty things to everybody. But from a place of religion,